We're live. But...
All right, well, we're live.
Oh, all right.
Welcome, one and all, to the fabulous, fantastic, and you can't beat it unless you try a little harder than most people, to BUB'S Comics, home of the No Faces comic chat. We are here, as always, surrounded by my good friends, cohorts, and partners in crime. We got to my left and or right. Wait, is it this way? Yeah, This way. We got good old DS Comics. Say, hey, everybody, what's shaking in Chi-Town?
Hey, everybody, what's shaking?
Yeah, I didn't think I'd get all of it. And down below us, he's not directly above us, but he's certainly below us. We got Metarog, Roger. Say hello, Roger.
Oh, greetings, everyone. Great to be here again, as usual.
I feel like I almost had him that time. I feel like it was closer than it's been in a long time.
Oh, sorry. I thought I could paraphrase, sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure. Then we've got tons of great people in chat already. But before we get to that, I want Roger to tell us our team name for tonight, because I'm sure when he saw it, it struck a chord with him today.
Well, it kind of did. The post office regulars?
Yep.
Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
I like
Why
it.
did it strike a chord with you, good man?
I like it. Post office regulars. I am a post office regular. They know me there. I'm there a couple times a week. I'm down.
Like, when you know your local post office employees by name,
Yeah.
that's something right there.
Well, nobody is more in tune with their postal workers than comic book collectors, I feel like.
True.
Well, we're going to go over a few things tonight. We hope not to ruffle too many feathers. Honestly, to channel, actually, he's in the chat, to channel the great, that's the sound of money, folks. To channel the great Comic Head 84, who I think is a beacon in this community for open communication. I really like the way that he handles things. I think that in another life, maybe this one, he's plenty young enough, he could be like an FBI negotiator. I think he's a fire squelcher more than he's a fire starter. And I think that he's just an all-around good guy. He is like the militant version of Roger's Goodwill. So...
The militant version. Wow. Now you're weaponizing Kenny. I tell you.
But anyway, glad he's in the chat, because we'll be speaking to him some tonight. We got Unruly Simeon. Let's go through them right quick, as they say. Unruly Simeon, Chris at Chaos and Comics is here. Hello, and welcome, good people of Earth. We got Man from Beantown, Scott Evans in the house. Steve over at I Love Disney and Comics, and which these days are the same thing. He could just change his name to I Love Disney at this point, right?
Ooh.
We got well, not until they buy DC. That probably won't be till next year. We got Mr. Gretzky 9966. Hopefully he can join us one of these nights. I've got a special topic selected for that fine young man, and we're gonna go through a couple of books that he should be interested in. We got Area 51 Mike. We got Comics, Mags, and Musings. Werewolf by Lunchtime. Howdy, fellow humans, he says. Hopefully he's not rushing off to work. We've got Comic Head 84, as we mentioned. And let's see. We got I can never get this right. And when I mess it up, boy, is it bad. We got...
Varangian Vigilante.
Say it again?
Varangian Vigilante.
That sounds like a really expensive candle that like Gwyneth Paltrow is trying to hawk. But I like it. I like it. The Varangian Vigilante. We thank you for joining us. We got Silver Age Dave in the house. Hey, buddy, good to see you. I'll see you in The Countdown's Begun. Me and Silver throwing back cold ones in 5 days or less. I don't know. It's 4 days and something now. Yeah, we're excited. We've got James Gallegos. Thank you for joining us. Jackson Roy Kirk. My goodness, of course. Roger Metarog's in the chat. Scott Neely. C3 Comics. I love it. Thank you guys for all coming in. Of course, Dave's wanting me to to push Fantasticon. Come Toledo, Ohio this weekend for a mediocre convention, but a fantastic adventure in comic friendship. All right, here we go.
Those Midwestern cons, I mean, people know them, people talk about them, a lot of people go to them. Man, they don't get their due rep as far as the coastal ones, like the East Coast with Baltimore and New York, and then, of course, the West Coast, all those. Man, the Midwest ones just seem to get lost in the shuffle, sort of. I feel like they're probably better almost. I don't know. I want to go to some of those. The C2E2 looked awesome. People were showing everything from that. And yeah, that's legit, man.
Absolutely. My only issue with C2E2, as I have now, Man Cave Comics, welcome. Thanks for joining us. My only issue with C2E2 is that it is super expensive. I would think, from what little research I've done, it's the most expensive Midwestern convention, or interior country, if you even will.
Well, it's probably the biggest one, too.
It is. Well, I don't, yeah.
You mean
I think it's probably bigger than Heroes Con, wouldn't you say?
I mean, I've only been to 2 cons, and it's Heroes in Baltimore, and they're good enough, and I have no desire to go to other ones. But I do feel a little jealous when I see people having a blast with the books and the friendship and the hanging out and the scenery at some of these ones like C2E2. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm probably not going to go to anymore, but C2E2 would be pretty high on my list. And what's that one? There's one in Florida, too, that everybody talks about. Is it MegaCon?
Yeah, MegaCon.
Yeah, I hear
I'm not counting the ones on the coast. They're always well attended.
Yeah.
On either coast. But
like
yes.
You're echoing a little bit, DS, or is that just me, Bub?
I'm not hearing any echoes when he talks, but
no. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything different than I usually do, so I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe just everything he has to say is resonating with you, Roger.
Well, I suppose that could be it, but I think my ears are not playing tricks on me. But that's okay. It's probably my headphones.
Bigglesworth is in the chat. Thank you for joining us. All right, guys. So here's the deal. I want to talk about a couple of things. And actually, I don't generally do this, but I'm going to take the spotlight a little bit. Let's see if we can, I don't know, somebody who's better at this than me, but there is no one here tonight. There's a slight echo, C3 says. Okay. Everybody turn down their backpedaling volume a little bit.
Okay.
And I can't get this thing to go at all. Let's see. I could have sworn I did it. How about this one? Anybody? Hey, that'll work. All right. So just real quick, I got this today in the mail. You say, what the heck is that? No, it's not a child drawing, and it's certainly not a Rorschach into DS's fractured psyche.
Oh, boy.
We need more than an hour for that.
That's just me clearing up a little bit of personal information. But what I want you to notice here is, of course, that right there where it says USPS Media Mail, and then that big old hairy stamp on there. Anybody in the chat want to read that to me?
No, was it postage due?
Postage due, that's right.
Yep.
So my local post office was holding this book ransom until I could make a personal appearance to pick it up and pay what apparently I owed after winning this book in an auction on eBay. So here's what I'll say about this. And this will kick us off. Yeah, I owe Bigglesworth. That's right. I owe $2.20. That's a good point. So that's an excellent point, because I'm going to talk a little bit about the differences between owing and having to owe it all, like how much you owe versus owing it all. So obviously, when I bought this book, I won it in an auction, and that's another key point, is that it was an auction, not a buy it now. I think when you're in a buy it now situation and you're factoring everything in, then those last few dollars make a big difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
But especially if it's a low dollar book. This is like a very, very minor key. But it's a big key to me, because of all the books in this line, this is the only one that I care about. And the others are quite expensive. So But my point is, in an auction, if you're using media mail in an auction, people are already going to bid what they're going to bid. And I don't think you have to try and shave $2.20 off a price. You guys agree with that?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it matters. I charge postage usually. I always charge postage. I don't care how big I don't do free shipping on eBay. I always charge postage, and I charge what I think it's going to cost me to send either first class or priority. And it doesn't matter if it's an auction or a buy it now. I just had 4 auctions and this past week, and they were all like single raws, and I had $6 shipping for first class. So I don't know. I have a lot of problems with media mail, but there's a lot of people that still use it to save money. But honestly, I feel like if you're buying comics, people are not that concerned about how much the shipping is as long as they know how much it's going to be ahead of time. You know, I have bigger books on eBay. I have $50 shipping. I got a book on there right now for $3,600 and $50 shipping. I'm not doing free shipping. It's $50. That's how much the insurance and the priority is going to cost me. Yeah, so it's $50 shipping, and that's what it is. If it's a smaller book, I do maybe $10 shipping. But I feel like if people know how much it is, they don't have a problem with it. They just want to know ahead of time. And so you're not getting extra sales or extra money or extra attention by doing really dirt cheap shipping for the most part. I mean, I feel like people are fine paying the shipping as long as they know what it's going to be ahead of time. And nobody likes media mail.
I agree. And media mail, according to the post office, is one of the most kicked around packages in all of the mail service. It goes on whatever truck is heading that way in the general vicinity. They don't put it on an exact path to you. It just kind of, it's like the hobo riding the rails of the US Postal Service. That's what media mail is. Whatever's heading in your general direction, they throw it on that truck. And then they scan it wherever it goes, and they throw it on the next truck heading in your general direction until it circles the drain and gets close enough to you, and then they send it straight to you from there. And at any one of those points that it gets checked in and scanned, they do random inspections. And if your book doesn't qualify for media mail, which no comics do according to the post office, and that's not me arguing it. You can go to the US Postal Service website. It says very clearly comics do not qualify for media mail because they contain advertisements. And some people will say, yeah, but this particular graphic novel doesn't. It doesn't matter. It's a commercial property, and it's not a book. It's a comic book, and they make the distinction. So all comic books are ineligible for media mail. So, and people will argue, and then what's the other argument you hear all the time, DS? That well, I've never had a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've never had a problem. I have 100% feedback. This has never been a problem. Well, it's not a problem because a lot of people are just going to go. First of all, a lot of people don't have YouTube channels, even though it's obviously pretty cheap to have one and not much production value needed. But you know, a lot of people are just going to pay that $2.20 and roll on and say, oh, well, I've probably saved more than that. And all the times media mail got to me fine. Right. So that's an argument. But to me, my problem is that when I'm buying a book, especially if it's a key book, I want it to be in the condition that it was when I purchased it. When I agreed to purchase that book and I looked through the 12 pictures to make my decision, I wanted to get the book that I saw in those pictures. But media mail, when they do the inspections, look how this thing, and I haven't pre-opened this, but just look at that little piece of tape right there. That's it. Because when it's media mail, they just package it back with one piece of tape. And they cut it open first. So obviously that was originally a flap that the guy put this in. But then at the post office, they just put a piece of tape on it. And that's it. It's repackaged. And I would assume that they're not real careful with these books either, because they open them and go through the entire, I'm trying to get to this thing. So there's the book, but they go through it. And how do I know this is in there? Because this has happened to me twice before. This is my third time having a package held by media mail, and it's never been my local post office that does it either. For those of you who think that might be the case. hey, I'll have to, cover a little bit of this, but basically, they took the information and, well, I can't show, man, there's nothing of that I can show. Anyway, long story short, they write you a little letter that says that they opened up your package. Okay. And then I said, okay, so here's a good point. Comic Kid 84 is saying, I think if packaged properly, hold on. If I can get to it. He says, I think if packaged properly, books will survive media mail fine. I avoid it because it feels taboo and I don't want to ruffle feathers. Okay. So what he's saying is if he packages the book as a seller, I assume. Well, that's all good and well, but then the US Postal Service is going to destroy your packaging, and I don't think they care too much about when you write pull tabs on there either, for all you pull tab lovers. But they're going to destroy your packaging to get to the book. They open the book, they go through the book and check all the pages to make sure that there's no other items hidden inside. And to make sure that there are advertisements of some kind, and even an in-house ad counts for an advertisement, so that all counts. So that's what they do. So this was the book that I got, and it's Raphael, #1, and it's the first appearance of Casey Jones. And I'll look at it and see if it matches the pictures that were there when I bought it, because I had my choice. This book is not a rare book or hard book to obtain. It's not a ridiculously expensive book. It's like a $50 book in mid-grade, Of course, anything in high grade gets silly, but I'm going to have to go through it, check it by the pictures, and make sure it's in decent shape. I contacted the seller. The seller made it right. I didn't really give him a choice. I told him exactly what I expected in amount of a refund, which included the shipping and a little bit extra, because I'm the one that's got to now take off work early to get to the post office in time to pay them for my book before they close, when it was supposed to be shipped to my house. So, that's the kind of thing that irks me. And the reason why I wanted to mention it tonight was not just because this book came in today, but also because I see it as a trend happening. I feel like more and more sellers are starting to use media mail to combat the cost of tax that's being charged on eBay. Have you guys noticed as well an uptick in media mail?
I think it has a lot to do with the type of books you're ordering and the type of sellers. There's different sort of groups or categories of people buying and selling books. I rarely get anything coming my way from media mail, but I'm not buying on modern either. I feel like media mail is used more often by younger sellers, than it is by older sellers. I Most of the media mail I think is being used by sellers who are like in their 20s, late 20s maybe. And it's, a lot of those people are just getting started in the hobby. They haven't been around that long. I feel like when you've been in the hobby a little longer, you start using first class and priority. So I feel like a lot of it has to do with the type of books. Newer books, lower value books, more modern stuff has a higher percentage of a younger crowd in it because it's people who are newer to the hobby. And I feel like they're using media mail because their sole thing initially is to save money on shipping. And the longer you're around, the more distaste you have for media mail as a buyer or seller. So I think that's part of it, because I don't buy moderns ever, and I rarely get anything media mail. And when I see people complaining about media mail, it's usually a more modern book. Now, occasionally I still get it on, a Silver Age key or something or other, but I don't know. I don't really have any evidence or facts to back that up. But I'll tell you, when I got back into the hobby and I was selling, I used media mail a few times early on and quickly moved away from it for a number of reasons. And I don't ever use it anymore. So maybe it's just, I'm assuming other people are handling it the way that I did when I first got back in the hobby. So I don't know, something to consider. I think older books or higher value books are not being sent media mail.
Well, and I think one of the things that I've noticed for myself, you guys know that I'm a big, bargain hunter on eBay. I sometimes a buy it now guy, but it has to be like a ridiculously low listing, or, even if ever there's a make an offer tab, I use it, unless it's already ridiculously low. but I try to get the lowest price I can for the items. But one place I'm not trying to cheat is in the shipping because I want it to be shipped well. So I'm more likely to buy a book that has a listing of $9 for shipping than I am one that has a listing of $3 or $4 for shipping. Because if it's only $3 or $4, I know they're using media mail and I don't want that. So I'll pay more if it's an equal quality book to buy from someone who is actually charging the appropriate amount for shipping. I much prefer that. When I see a slab shipped for $8 and it says $8 shipping, I already know that that's going to be bad.
Yeah, but you know what? The bottom line for me is sort of like what Kenny said. My main concern is having things packed well, and that far supersedes the type of mailing they use. So, you know, I've gotten priority stuff, high dollar priority with insurance, and it's crap, like it's packed like crap. And then I'll get media mail stuff that's wrapped like bomb-proof packaging. So I'm more concerned about the packaging. And you know, I usually send a message to all my sellers when I buy something. I say, please package this sandwich between cardboard and sent in a box. And I say, thanks in advance for doing that. And some of them do it and some of them don't. But I don't know. I'm more concerned about how well it's packed than the type of mail they use. But as a seller, I never send media mail because, again, like what Kenny said, it ruffles feathers. It's sort of taboo. You know, more serious people in the hobby who are buying stuff do not want stuff coming media mail. It takes longer. It does get beat up, the packaging more. I could send my packages through the apocalypse and they'll make it safely, but I want them to get there quick to my customers. So I ship next day and I ship priority or first class. I don't use media mail. And I just charge more. I mean, people seem happy to pay more. I rarely have a complaint where I'm charging too much shipping. People will pay for shipping if that's what it is, I feel like.
I agree. In chat, Chris over at Chaos and Comics was making a good point saying that, you know, I mean, it doesn't matter what exact book he's saying, but basically he's saying $1 book is too expensive to buy unless someone's using media mail to ship it. And if that's your reasoning, and here's where I'm going to jump to the other side of the fence, right? I'm playing tennis against myself tonight. So here's where I'll jump to the other side. If you know a book is going to be sent media mail, don't be surprised when it comes damaged. If you bought the book knowing it was going to come media mail, don't be surprised. If you bought the book for $1 and they only charge $3, there's your sign. You know, if the whole thing took less than $4 to get that book in your hands from across the country, they're probably shipping it poorly.
Yeah, I mean,
so
not necessarily. A lot of people offer free shipping, and you can't. I don't think you can tell from that.
No, I'm not saying you can tell all the time. That's my point. But if you do see that, you can go to the shipping tab on eBay and then click details, and they'll tell you if they have pre-registered with eBay how they intend to ship it. And often you can read that, and it'll say economy, and you click details, and it'll say media mail.
Yep.
So use that if you have the opportunity. If you're really against media mail, then protect yourself against it.
Yeah, let me throw a couple tips in here, a couple shipping tips before we move on for people who are selling. I use 2 at-home shipping services on my computer for postage. I use stamps.com, which has like a monthly fee, but if you're selling and shipping a lot of stuff, I feel like it's worth it. You're paying for the service, and it's really good service. I really like stamps.com. The postage for first class and priority is cheaper on stamps.com than it is directly from the USPS. Even to California, it seems way cheaper, several dollars cheaper. If I have to add insurance, I've learned that the USPS website is cheaper to use for insurance. Stamps.com has their own insurance. It's not through the post office, through stamps.com. And it costs a lot more. So if you're insuring a $2,000 book on stamps.com, it's going to cost you 2 to 3 times as much as it is to insure it through the USPS. So for insurance purposes, I will use priority with insurance on the USPS site. But if I don't need insurance, if it's a smaller type book, stamps.com is dirt cheap for first class. Sometimes it only comes to $4 to go, you know, to Utah or something from the East Coast. Really, really cheap, and it saves you a lot of money to ship from there. And I feel like the monthly fee is worth it if you sell a lot.
Well, while you're on that topic, I think there's something important to note too, because there's a couple of people in the chat, and Roger's kind of jumping in on that too. So, Roger, if you don't mind expanding on that,
Sure.
he's talking about shipping profiteering, and I think I was Unruly Simeon. I don't know, the chat's moving pretty quick, but I think he was saying that that he had someone overcharging him for shipping, saying that that was because remember the old like catalogs, you buy something it says shipping and handling, so they're kind of charging a handling fee, saying that their time's worth $20 to drive to the post office and to package this properly.
Yep.
But I think if you're using a method by which DS is using to lower the shipping cost naturally, that can pay for some of like the custom boxes that he orders and the packing peanuts and the bubble wrap and all kinds of stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
Roger, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, on these YouTube auctions, just since we're in YouTube right now and everybody's sort of familiar with it, on the YouTube auctions, everybody does priority and they charge the shipping's $14 or $15 because they're using those priority flat rate boxes because they're free. I get it; they're crap boxes. They're not corrugated. They don't stand up. I don't use them. I buy my own custom size boxes. They cost me money. I charge $10 in shipping, but usually on stamps.com, my average cost for priority mail across everything for me as a seller is about $8. So I'm not profiteering. I'm charging 10 instead of 14, and it's only costing me 8 on average. And the $2 extra is the cost of the box and the bubble wrap, which bubble wrap's expensive. You know, those of you out there to buy it, it's not cheap to buy a big roll of bubble wrap. And the boxes are not cheap either. Boxes for me cost like $1.30 each. But yeah, even adding on for the cost of the materials that I pay for, I can charge $10 priority for a slab instead of 14 or 15, and it still works out for me. Even buying separate boxes and going through stamps.com with the subscription, which is like $30 a month or something, $25 a month. So yeah, I mean, you don't. You can save a lot of money on shipping if you don't necessarily just do by default post office flat rate boxes. I think it's cheaper. You can save yourself and your buyers a lot of money going other routes.
Yeah, and Roger, you just were a regular at the post office today, weren't you? Well, you want to tell us how that went? How did you manage to? Because I only cite you out specifically because obviously DS is talking about a system that he's developed and cost manipulated over time, which is amazing and great.
It is.
But this is a key component of his enjoying the hobby. Correct. But for you, who never sells books,
right?
At least not regularly.
No.
How did you manage the cost of that shipping and that care for all the people that bought from your recent auction?
Well, the reason I was selling, and thanks again, Kenny, who's here in the chat for hosting. We had a great time. The reason I was selling, well, my motives may have been a little different than most. It really wasn't so much to make money; it was to make space. I had a lot of comics that didn't really fit into my collection, and I wanted others that would enjoy it more than I would to have it, right? And of course, made a little money along the way. That sort of is sort of a byproduct, but I really wanted to just make space. So for that reason, I sold it in bigger lots, except for the more expensive comics. So I already knew that, and by the way, everything's been shipped out today. Well, like you said, Bub. And so I knew that if I use a medium priority box and I bubble wrapped it and I put it tight enough so there wouldn't be moving around, and I put some space, some bag spacers and so forth, I'm essentially making a brick. So even if this thing is thrown around, the comic should be fine. Now, most of my comics, as you guys know, are not high grade to begin with. So in that, I said that in the auction, I was, transparent as far as that goes. But if I was selling a high dollar book, like let's say over $100 some, certainly I would not use, like DS said, those rather flimsy USPS boxes. But I did use, for the smaller lots, I did use Gemini mailers, bubble wrap. I made sure that they were taped down. I made sure that they weren't rattling and that there were space, tightly spaced, so there will be no movement and no corner damage, things like that.
Yeah, the key to using those flat rate boxes is make sure you fill the entire volume inside the box with something, bubble wrap, other cardboard, peanuts, or something. Because the only way those boxes maintain their structure is if there's something inside that slightly holds back any pushing in on any parts of the edges or the sides, because those things are not corrugated.
Correct.
So, you know, if you have something loosely packed in there with some empty space, that empty space is invariably going to crush. And then even if the book's not damaged, it doesn't look good when your package arrives looking like it got run over by a dump truck. And, you know, I just buy boxes and use stamps.com, charge a little extra. And honestly, I mean, it doesn't cost me any, it's no extra time. I just go on eBay or on Amazon or uline.com and order boxes, and they show up at my house in 2 days, and then I have boxes. And in packing a box is packing a box. I just use better boxes. But, you know, those flat rates, they make a huge profit on those flat rates because hardly any comics that you send ever will amount by weight to $14 or $15. And I know because I never, ever have any packages go out that costs me more than $11. And that was like 3 slabs shipped to Washington, and it was like maybe $12, $11.96 or something. So
yeah, I mean, no, if I shipped on a regular basis, I definitely would not do that. But what you know, the boxes that I sent out, DS, the medium flat rate boxes, wait till these people get this. These things were heavy because I packed, like I sold some 50 comic book lots, but didn't fill it up to the top, you know. So I added some more clackers on there so that it would take up the space, plus cardboard, plus bubble wrap. So these things could be thrown around like footballs, and trust me, those comics are going to make it just fine, you know. Another tip I was going to say is that regional B boxes can sometimes save you $6 or $7 if you're shipping somewhere within, you know, 500 or a 750-mile radius, because that's by weight and distance, and they are slightly bigger than medium flat rate boxes. So let's say if Bub is shipping to me, it would cost him probably about $9 to ship a flat regional B box versus $15 for the medium flat rate box. So that's a little tip. There
you go.
Also,
I
didn't ship any like that though. I didn't ship any like that because I promised on the auction that it was $15. You know, like you know, you were saying about media mail. There was a temptation there for me to ship one of the packages media mail. Man Cave AOK'd another guy. He gave me the money for the charity that. Obviously he paid the charity. He paid like charity prices. It wasn't worth nearly what he bid, right? So there was a temptation to send it media mail because that was sort of included in the price. But again, I said no because of what we're talking here. You know, what if he gets it there and embarrassingly he has to pay a couple bucks? You know, it's not worth your reputation for $2-3. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. Plus, it takes longer, and people like to get their stuff quick in today's world. And so, my promise as a seller is that everything goes out next business day all the time, and it's always going to get there quick because it's priority or first class. Yeah, media mail. I mean, during the media mail is not so bad right now. If you send media mail now, maybe 4 days as opposed to 2 to 3 days. It's not a big difference. You send media mail,
but unless it gets stuck somewhere, like mine did. Mine got stuck for inspection, and it took 2 weeks to get here.
Yeah, that can happen. I mean, try sending a media mail during December when there's all that Christmas shipping. You're looking at 3 to 4 weeks for a media mail package sometimes, and it's not good service as a seller. You know, some people don't care, but some people do, and it's better to avoid that for a couple bucks. For me personally.
Yeah, I agree. I
totally agree.
It's, you know, earlier, like, you know, but you know what happens, Bub and DS, sometimes is that there was a lot of now it's pretty clear, but there was a lot of confusion 10 years ago whether comics would or would not be eligible for media mail. I asked my local comic book shop in Florida, USPS office in Florida, and they told me it was fine. And then when I went to a trip and I asked in Georgia, they said no, it's not fine. So I got you know very disparate answers depending on where it is that you were shipping from. Now it's
that's
clear
true.
because,
I've had this exact same situation happen just a couple of years ago when I asked about it, and one place told me it was fine, and one post office, and the next town over, I was shipping from where I work, and I was like, "Well, I got to get this out of here. I'll just take it with me to work and go to that post office."
Mhm.
And they told me it was ineligible, and so I had shipped probably 2 packages using media mail because I thought that it was okay, and that I didn't end up having a problem with it, but then the other person, the other employee told me, and they said, go to the website and it's clear, and it is. If you go to the U.S. Postal Service website, it says very plainly, mentions comics by name, that they're ineligible for media mail. So
Yes,
there you
that's
go.
correct. That's correct. But even lately though, I shipped something to somebody, and the guy asked me, "Oh, is it books?" And I said, "It's comic books, right?" And I had shipped a bunch of stuff, so I did notice he put it as media mail.
Oh wow.
So when it got there, when I got the receipt, and I was like, I forgot who it was. I emailed them. I said, "Hey, listen, I didn't mean to send it. I didn't pay attention, which was my fault. But it was like 10 packages that I was sending, so it just sort of slipped in there." He didn't even tell me who was sending. He just said, "Is it books?" I said, "It's comic books," and he sent it. So again, it just depends where you're at.
Now we want to be helpful on this show, so we're not just bashing sellers here,
No.
but let's talk a little bit about the protections that a buyer can do for themselves in this, and I want to talk a little bit about identifying potential bad packagers. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you'll hear JB talk all the time in Discovery Bay. He always says he likes to buy it from the community because they ship the best. They package the best stuff. They package the stuff the best. Better than any eBay seller he's ever dealt with. He likes YouTubers best because they package it the best.
Right.
And there's a lot to be said for that. If you're kind of buying from someone you're buying from another hobbyist. So you know that they care about what they send. So that makes a big difference. I can tell you, when I bought this book, I was a little bit skeptical because I like to go to the other items available. So whenever I'm about to buy a book, I check to see what else that person sells. And if you see a lot of random items like flea market, yard sale, antique type of items,
Mm-hmm.
so far and you guys please, I know there's a lot of stories here of purchasing, but for me personally, my experience tells me that when I see the other person's items are filled with random stuff like you'd see in a flea market table or a yard sale or an antique mall, that is going to be a poorly packaged comic. They're not going to ship it properly. They're going to ship it like it was originally sent in a mailer in a Scoon asked what was Scoon's comics, and if you guys take a turn each on this, that'd be great. He asked what was the worst packaging we'd ever received. One time, I got a comic that was sandwiched between 2 pieces of loose leaf paper with lines, inside of a gallon-sized Ziploc bag with a piece of tape closing over the zipper part and a label on the outside. I got a comic like that once. That was the worst shipping I ever received. And I guarantee you that was from someone who had tons of random stuff on their page. And they're just saying, hey, you want this? I'll get it to you. I'll package it and send it out. So if you guys got any tips like that, or have you experienced things like that too?
Well, the two main things I look at, and this generally applies to eBay because I agree, YouTube sellers, and for the most part, the Instagram community, they're serious collectors. They know how they want to receive stuff. They know how to ship stuff. So, the only problems usually I encounter in eBay, I look at two things: 100% feedback. I like 100% feedback, and I look at the other items they're selling, and I want to see that they are selling a lot of items, and that they have, and I'll sort by highest price under that seller. And I like sellers who have a lot of stuff they're selling and some high dollar stuff they're selling. Because people who are selling high dollar stuff, sometimes you'll get a seller, you'll be buying a $50 comic or a $20 comic. They have 100% feedback. You're like, I don't know this seller. What else do they sell? And I'll go look, and they have 210 listings. I'll sort highest priced. They got an AF-15 and a 5.0, and they got a Hulk 1. You know what I mean? All right, I'm not worried. They know how to ship. They're high enough advanced in selling collectibles, high value collectibles, they're going to ship it good. You know, there's exceptions to every rule, but I basically like sellers that sell a lot of stuff, have high dollar stuff listed that they sell, and have 100% feedback. And that's the best you can do. It's, you know, there's some risk. Life is risk, and there's never going to get 100% success rate on purchasing. But anybody who has, you know, 99% feedback on eBay is not good. It's sort of a binary thing for me. It's either 100 or it's not. That's it. It's not hard to keep 100% feedback. Now, if it's 99, I really want the book, the seller looks legit, whatever, I'll go look, and maybe that one person will have some random complaint and it doesn't really apply. Then I'll make an exception. But that's how I judge, you know, eBay sellers pretty much. And I buy a lot of stuff on eBay. I buy stuff on eBay almost every single day. So that's basically what I do. And I know not all of them are going to come perfectly packaged or perfectly safe or accurately graded. And it's just part of the business and part of the hobby. You're not going to have everything be perfect. You have to lower your expectations and not expect everything is going to be packed and shipped and graded accurately and perfectly. I mean, I had a book sent to me by a dealer that I've known for years, totally trust, sent me a book, and it had replaced staples. You know? So, you know, I contacted him. He's like, oh, my God, I need to go back and look at all the other stuff I got in my collection now. What can I do to make it right? I'm like, man, not really a big deal. Don't worry about it. Just check out the rest of the collection you got from that dude so you make sure all the other stuff's legit, like give a closer look to it. And he still gave me some money back. But, I mean, it's not – you're not going to have 100%, but you can do what you can for yourself to minimize the problems. So that's how I do it.
That's fair. What about you, Roger?
Bub, I got you beat on the worst packaging ever. Okay. Now remember, in the early days of eBay, you know, it was like the Wild West. There were like no pictures. You had to pay by check. You had to wait sometimes a month to get stuff, you know. I'm talking 96, 97, you know. So one time I got a comic there. Now, you know, I like the promo comics. So it was one of those thin promo comics, right? So what the guy did is he took two like backing boards, put the comic in there, no protection, and then he sealed it around with cello tape. Okay? Put the address on there. That's how I got it.
Wow.
Like with two backing boards, just like that. Okay? Cost him like $1.50 back then to ship that. So
wow.
I got you beat on that one. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
If the seller has a lot of random items and or just a few comics in there, I generally, politely, again, I don't buy a lot on eBay, guys. Maybe one or two things a month because, you know, I win like 5% of my auctions, right? I severely go down there, right? So I'll write, hey, if possible, please put, you know, between two pieces of firm cardboard, you know, and please put it in an envelope that's hermetically sealed, not has, you know, gaps and so forth. And most of the time they'll say, oh, yeah, thank you, or, you know, that's fine. The other times they'll say, hey, what do you think? I'm an idiot, you know? So it just depends.
Well, I've got the old rolled up manila envelope of death before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I had a Golden Age book come to me like that once, broke my heart. And in the pictures, it was in pretty decent shape. And when it came, it literally had pieces breaking off the edge and the spine where it had been loose. It was just loose in the manila envelope. It was horrible. No backing board, no nothing.
I got this book today, and it was just sent sandwiched between two pieces of cardboard, which looked reused and had bends in them, so they weren't good to use. And it was taped down with Scotch tape, which is kind of a pain, and sent in a bubble mailer. So not very well protected. But, you know, it's low grade. It was cheap. Not a big deal, but I mean, it wasn't packed great. But it arrived. It's in good. It's, you know, it wasn't damaged, but you know, it was the type of shipping in the old days. I would have contacted the seller and be like, "What the f is wrong with you packing something like that? What are you gonna do?" You know what I mean? I'll just remember the seller and just be a little more cautious next time, not to maybe buy off of him or something. But if, you know, or maybe contact him a little more strongly next time, ahead of time or something. So yeah, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that definitely happens too. It's so frustrating And somebody had asked in the chat, and there's been a little bit of discussion about it. What about I always appreciate when a seller offers multiple shipping options.
Mhm.
You know, they'll say you can ship it for free or economy, or you can pay an extra $5 and get it priority, and I'll click that extra $5 every time. So that's an option. Now some people don't structure their their listings that way. It's kind of a setting you have to use in eBay, but that's definitely one that I'm in favor of. So I like that. All right, guys, let's move on to the other bit of heartburn in the community going on right now. Yeah, look at that. Is that a dumpster fire? What is that? Oh,
That is a flamethrower.
it's a flamethrower. Nice.
Yeah. Napalm, maybe.
So one of the other things that's getting a lot of attention right now all over the community are mystery boxes. For those of you who don't know what a mystery box is, it's a pyramid scheme wrapped in a scam. No, I'm just kidding.
Pyramid scheme wrapped in a scam.
No, basically what a mystery box is just what it sounds like. You pay a predetermined amount of money and you get, and this is one of my pet peeves, if you're going to send a mystery box, I want it in a box. Don't send me a mystery envelope and call it a mystery box. But that aside, right. You get a package of some sort, right? That contains usually a predetermined number of books for a predetermined price. Every now and then they have one that has a setup to them or a theme or some kind of shtick or another where it's 2 bronze, 2 golds, 2 silvers, whatever, and a sketch in some cases. So that's what's going on. And then I want to talk about 2 distinct types of, in my opinion, 2 distinct types of mystery boxes. Okay. And this is all just setting it up, and then I'll let you guys talk about it as you like. Mm-hmm. There is one that seeks to give you the value that you've paid or more in every box that they send out, right? So if this wave they're sending out 10 boxes and every box costs $50, then the contents of that box, if you were to turn them around and try and sell them on the market, would be $50 or more, right? Mm-hmm. Then there's another one that is more of a raffle type box. Okay, what they call a waffle, right? You get something, but there's going to be some people that get, say for the same $50, a box that values $75, $100, or in some cases $1,000, right? Mm-hmm. And then you'll have some people, usually the majority of people, who are buying out of that wave that are only going to get boxes that are worth $20 and they paid $50. So those are the 2 kind of basic versions of boxes. Would you guys agree with that or want to add anything to that?
Well, I've got 2 perspectives. There's 2 perspectives on mystery boxes for me. And before I go into this, keep in mind, I don't ever sell mystery boxes and I don't ever buy mystery boxes.
That's fine.
So the perspective for me, the way I look at as buying a mystery box is you're basically going to 7-Eleven and buying a scratch-off ticket. You know, it's a lottery. Somebody mentioned that in the chat. And, you know, you have a chance of winning a prize, but most of the time the house wins. You're not going to get anything big. But you might get some cool stuff. But you're buying it for the fun of it, the excitement of opening it, the scratching off of the ticket to see if you won the jackpot. And, you know, it's fun to share them with other people in the community. You do a little live chat. Everybody opens their mystery boxes. It's fun. And it's not something that as a buyer you should look at that you're doing for value or investing or for the collection. It's something you do for fun, and there's a chance you can win. It's exciting. That's from a buyer perspective. From the selling perspective, it's difficult because you know there's people out there, if they're spending $50 on a mystery box, they want at least $50 worth of value. And it's tough as a seller it's very delicate to provide value to everybody and still make money on the books that you're sending everyone, because people selling mystery boxes aren't doing it for fun, they're doing it for profit. And, you know, they're trying to make money. I don't have a problem with that. But you can't send, you know, 9 out of 10 mystery boxes be total crap and not expect people to complain and the one person got the grand prize. So it's very delicate. You have to be careful. You have to make sure you send out enough value in each box that nobody's going to be real upset with it. And then, you know, so from a selling perspective, it's dicey, I think, if I were going to do it. as opposed to a buying perspective. For me, I would just do it for the fun and the excitement. And if I spent $50 in mystery box and got $5 worth of comics, if there was a chance of winning the whole 181, all right, I didn't win, but it was fun. You know, it's a scratch-off ticket from 7-Eleven. That's my perspective from a buyer. But there's some people that think that have expectations of buying mystery boxes for value as a value collector. That's not what mystery box is. You're going to be perpetually disappointed most of the time buying mystery boxes if you're doing it for value. You should be doing it for fun. You don't go to a casino to play on slot machines to make money. You go play on slot machines because they're fun. Same reason you buy a scratch-off ticket at 7-Eleven. It's for fun. It's not to make money. So as long as you have that perspective of fun, I think it's cool to buy them. But I would be, I don't know, equally, I'd be more likely to buy a mystery box than to sell a mystery box. So
that's fair. What do you think, Roger? Do you think that the distinction between, or do you think that they're, so basically DS is saying that all mystery boxes fall into the lotto category. I think that there's a lotto category or a raffle category, and then there is a, you know, more or less straightforward amount, or if you're paying 50, you're going to get somewhere between 50 and 75. And in some cases, there might be a grand prize to get more people to buy into them, but no one's getting less than the value they put in. Realistically, there's always going to be, the market changes faster. And by the time you shipped it out and someone received it, some of the prices of those books could have very easily changed.
Correct.
But realistically, there should be a very small margin by which it drops. So do you think that that's the case, or do you think it's more like they're all lotto type deals?
No, I think they're, you know, all mystery boxes. It's hard to categorize them all because there are so many different ones now. You know, look at Kenny Comic Kid 84's box, and that's a very different type of mystery boxes. You know, it's almost like a semi mystery box because you know what you're going to get. You just don't know the specific comic. You know you're going to get some kind of a key. You know you're going to get a sketch. You know, you're going to get an art print. You're going to get a number one, and then you're going to get 5. You know, just fillers. You know, I think there's a couple more, Kenny, that I'm missing up there. And then Lawrence is starting a mystery box that you're getting a whole age full of box full of it. So if you get Marvel Bronze Age, you're going to get 50 Marvel Bronze Age comics. You know, there may be some minor keys, but you know, again, it's sort of tailored to somebody who wants for an era and doesn't really have a place nearby to get it. So
yeah, and there's different types of mystery boxes, which to me are more palatable than others. Some people just package up all their crap because they need to buy a Grail, and they'll put a couple big books in here and there, and then they send them all out to make money so they can go buy a Grail. And it's more of a scratch off with a lot of payoff or nothing, not much in between. And then there's some people that it's not really like a mystery box. It's just sort of like secret box. You don't know what you're getting, but you're going to get $50 worth of books for $50, and all the boxes are $50 worth of value. And you're just going to be pleasantly surprised by the mix of books that are in there, and they're all decent, but no real big grand prize.
Right.
But then, you know, there's some of these really big ones, like these Spider-Man ones, where they'll give you a bunch of modern crap. I don't want to say crap. It strikes me that way because when they, they'll have like a grand prize is like a ASM 300 and a 9.8, and one person gets that, and everybody else gets a stack of modern variants where they put a price tag on it. They're like $50, $25, and they're not $50, $25. Like, it's bad enough that it's not bad enough, but most of those boxes are loser boxes. Don't try to add insult to injury by telling people they should pretend that all the stickers you put on are the actual values of those books. That's sort of insulting to me when they do that. Just have a winner box with a huge prize, and the rest are sort of loser boxes, and that's exciting. But then they put those prices on there, like this is a $75 book, this is a $100 book. They're not. You go look them up. They're nowhere near what they're trying to tell you they're worth. And they just do that to sort of fake bump up the value for the loser boxes. That I take offense to that. And a lot of people buy those boxes because the grand prizes are killer. You know, they have huge prizes in there. So they drum up a lot of sales on these boxes because that grand prize is off the charts. You know, it's Hulk 181 or AF-15s, and it's huge stuff. But I like the one, the community ones are better than some of these corporate ones because people in the community have good books and they're just getting rid of some good books back out into the community to get some money to buy a bigger book. And it's usually a decent mix of stuff. A lot of people in the chat have done mystery boxes. Those are decent. They're sort of like value boxes as opposed to like the Spider-Man booth ones or whatever. Those are sketchy to me. I don't like those.
Well, I think so. Let's hop over to the other side of the fence. So we've talked about buyers, right? And kind of the two kind of boxes you can buy, and not. I think we've also said not to try and get your expectations too high. If it's the lotto type box, don't build up your expectations, right? Because you're taking your chance, like DS said. Hey, if you lose, consider that you took a chance, and oh well, right? And then in other cases, if you're smart about the value type box, as he's coining it, I like that. If you're smart about who you're purchasing from and you do a little bit of research into the kind of books that they collect, and you think that that's kind of a better chance of getting things that you like, you may not get, a Hulk 181 in that box, but you're going to be happy with the books that you bought. Then just be an informed buyer on that side. Buy from someone you trust and try to foster that. And you're probably not going to be too disappointed as a buyer in either one of those if you make those steps for either type of box.
Yeah, I thought about doing a mystery box, but I think about it, I think through it, and then I decide, no, I don't want to do that. But I would package up like 10 or 15 slabs, one slab per box, and they would range from like $100 to $500, and I would charge like $250 a box. But I feel like somebody who's going to get a $100 slab and they paid $250 is not going to be happy. But some people are going to get $300, $400, $500 slabs, and it's just a way for me to move all the slabs at fair market value into the community. But then I don't want people to be paying me $250 for a $100 slab. I don't feel like it's right. So I never get to the point of doing a mystery box. And then when I buy them, I like to know what I'm buying. I don't want to, I don't collect that many books for my PC. I don't buy that many books really to keep. So if I bought a mystery box, I would only want like that one grand prize. The rest of it's not worth it to me. It's just not something I would be interested in doing. So I just never get engaged in the mystery boxes, but I see them all over the place. They're definitely very popular.
Hey DS, Chad RCG says says he's in on your mystery box and to give him 4. So you already have a customer.
He doesn't even have the price yet. He wants 4 of them.
Hey, it doesn't matter.
RCG's out there. I'll do it every month.
It doesn't matter. Chad RCG, the man hits the grand prize. I don't know how many times he's hit it, Chad. Maybe 4 or 5 times already. I mean, he's amazing. He's just, he's one of those guys that, you look at it and you're like, there's a poor schmug somewhere on earth that has never won a thing. And then you got Chad, who is just hit strikes gold.
What I might actually do at some point is do a mystery box, $150, and do 10 of them. And every box has a $150 slab in it. It's just, you don't know what you're getting. And I think that would be cool because everybody gets exactly the same value. There's no grand prizes. There's no loser boxes. It's going to be a cool slab, and you just don't know which one you're going to get.
Right. Well,
my point would probably do it.
Yeah, my point with the mystery boxes is that it depends on what type of collector or comic aficionado you are, right? If you like those modern variants, then maybe the Spider-Man booth is for you. Obviously for me, the answer is no way. Or the mystery mail call from Comic Tom, they get more moderns, things like that. That's fine if you're that type of collector, and if you want a key of any kind, then Comic Kid 84 is a box for you because you're going to get one, and if you just want a certain era, then you've got like Lawrence's box. So it just depends on what type of collector you are, what kind of comic aficionado you are. And if you're that type, then that may be attractive to you. But for me, there are very few that would be attractive because again, I'm an oldie. I don't want anything that's pre-20. I want nothing that's 21st century. I want everything older than that. So that's why to me it doesn't make a lot of sense because I want very specific eras. But if that's your type of collection and focus, I don't see anything wrong with it. Just don't expect, like you guys have said, don't expect to hit the lottery. Don't expect to find exactly what you want because that's the whole reason why it's a mystery because you don't know.
So I think what we're all saying is if you're buying mystery boxes, please have low expectations. You'll be happier in the end.
Yeah, I think it's a good advice for life: expect the worst and hope for the best.
No, don't take life advice from DS. That's not what we're saying.
Doomsday Prepper advice from DS. The next show after this one, Doomsday Prepper advice from DS.
Not that. More what Roger said, please.
Nothing makes you more miserable in life than having expectations. The higher you have your expectations, the more you have expectations, the more disappointed and depressed you are in life. So I try not to have high expectations on anything anymore. And when it works out, I'm pleasantly surprised because I was expecting it to be crap. You know what I mean? That's how.
And if you're looking for more inspirational words of wisdom, please visit your local prison in the dead man walking aisle of every death row prisoner you'll find scratched in the wall. More great, hey, if this works out, good for me. So here's the deal, guys. Let's talk about a minute what kind of expectations you should have, because DS touched on this for a minute too, that you should have as a seller. Because he was saying he was apprehensive about it, and he mentioned a couple of reasons. I want to circle back to those. So if you're a seller, and I don't want to call anybody out on this, it's no one that we've even mentioned here yet so far. But there was a little bit of a tiff that happened in the YouTube community this past week about somebody getting their feelings hurt, and then somebody else was offended that they got their feelings hurt, and then that person got their feelings hurt, and you know, it's a little bit juvenile, but I think it's rooted in honesty. So if someone doesn't like your mystery box, that's not the buyer being a big baby. Like, they have a right not to be impressed with what they got. They have a right, you know, when we do these unboxings on YouTube, the comment section is open to everyone. And if someone wants to say, hey, I thought that mystery box sucked, I hope you got your money back, that's their right to say that. And just like we're saying, when you buy a mystery box for you, right, then that means someone else probably, you know, their tastes are different. Maybe they bought a box from Lawrence because they don't like original art, so they didn't buy a box from Kenny. See what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe someone saw all the books that Kenny laid out and decided those books weren't for them. They'll wait for the next wave. So that happens too.
I mean, you people complain about the mystery box like, oh, that was a bunch of crap, you should get money back. My what I say to those buyers is, yeah, you bought a mystery box, you don't know what you're getting. There's a chance it's a loser box. Live with it. Suck it up. That's what mystery boxes are sometimes. It's gambling and you lost. So suck it up and move on. To the sellers, you know, I also feel like, man, you're just scamming people. You're giving them a bunch of crap and you're just charging them money, and you just have that $1 grand prize out there and you're just giving everybody else a bunch of crap. So that's not right, man. That's dishonorable too. So I'm soured on the whole mystery box thing as a concept, although some people pull it off in a more fair way than others. But some people like the chance of winning something big, but they want to complain that if they get a bunch of crap. So I don't know. I feel like mystery boxes breed discontent on both sides. And I'm telling you, that's the mystery box world. If you're in it, get used to it. It's discontent a lot of times going around, and that's just the nature of it. It's like gambling. I mean, that's what it is. That's how I feel about it.
Well, that's fair. I mean, that's definitely one way to look at it. I think that if someone has something to say about your mystery box, you probably should not personally attack them on your YouTube channel for knocking your mystery box. You know, it's not going to be for everybody, and everyone's allowed to have an opinion about it. And by saying that their opinion's invalid because they don't know what they're talking about, and then to have an emotional reaction to say, well, I worked hard on that box, and this is where I'm going to defend that person now, because I feel like that there's probably no one in this community, including the people I'm talking about right now, there's no one in this community that I feel purposefully put together a crappy box to scam people, kind of like DS is saying. So I don't think that was the intention. I think in some cases for the raffle type boxes, yes, they knew that the books weren't all the way up to the money spent, but they didn't see that as a scam because they know that they used that money difference to pay for the big book in the lot. So
there's some dishonor.
Look at it from both sides and say, well, if there was no ill intent from the person to go out and try and scam, and no one was accusing that either, then you don't have to be as defensive. You can just be like, yeah, well, you didn't like the box. Be glad you didn't buy one. You know, I hope you find one you like. You know, it doesn't have to be such an argument and a fight. You know, everyone just you sold a box of books that you didn't want. Let's start with that. You know, right. For whatever the reason, you sold a box of books that you didn't want. Most people on these mystery boxes are not trying to make money. They're trying to get money back that they already spent. And most of the time, I don't think they get 100% of it. That's the point, right? Is that the money that they're getting for it, the box usually has more value.
Right. So some have goals. Some have, goals in mind when they're selling it. I think Jabroni, for example, wanted to get a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1, but he got help from his LCS or somebody, and they donated, I believe, some higher end books. So he had a goal, set. He wanted to have the money for a goal, and I think that's fine and dandy. And I think for the most part, people were happy with his mystery boxes. So a situation like that is a win-win, right? If people are happy and you achieve your goal, then that's great. And I agree with you. I don't think they're purposefully trying to, deceive anybody. But again, we're human. We make mistakes. We're not in the mind of every receiver of a mystery box. We can't know for sure whether they're going to be happy or not. So
there's a couple of mystery boxes out there that really rub me the wrong way, and I feel that there's a lack of honor on that seller. And it's not the community ones are fine. We're just moving books and trying to buy bigger books, and we're moving out good stuff, and it's going to community. We're not trying to kill the profit, get huge profits and kill it on the mystery boxes. I get that. It's community stuff generally for the most part is pretty cool. Just everybody has a different style to their box, whatever. That's cool. True. But you get stuff like the Spider-Man booth, the Torpedo Comics one, the Comic Tom ones, where they have all of this. It's sort of like all this propaganda machine going around it, to specifically designed to get as much profit as possible to make money, and they're pretty much just screwing those people. That I feel that's a bit dishonorable. And the Spider-Man booth, they put those little price tags on it, and it's BS. And it's just like, Torpedo Comics has one that's very popular, and they have like a really beat Batman 1 going in one of the boxes. So that's such a huge book that people are going to buy those boxes, and they're not going to get anywhere near their value on all those boxes, except the one person that gets the Batman, which is a 4.5, which is still awesome. But they're strictly doing it for profit. They don't, they're just trying to clear out inventory and make a bunch of money and get money for the Grail that is so beat that Grail collectors are not going to buy that copy. It rubs me the wrong way, and that's how I feel about some of the bigger, like the corporate ones. I see people buying those and getting screwed on them, and I feel bad, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I think that, and even some of the sellers that we've mentioned tonight, I know that I've watched a few unboxings where it was painfully obvious, not just to me. There goes that damn home phone again. Where it was painfully obvious, not just to me, but to the seller, to the buyer, that that it was a bad box, or that they were displeased with the box. So I've watched people open them and be displeased, and then maybe because it was from a community member, they're like, "Oh, but it was okay," and I got my money back. But like, I'm sitting there watching their face. You could watch it on mute and know that they're not happy with what they got, right. And then just from my own sake, I'm like, wow, that was a pretty rough box. How much was that? Ooh, you could have bought a couple of real nice books for that. Instead you got 12 crappy books that nobody wants, So I've seen several of those, and even based on some of the ones that we've talked about tonight, I've seen that. And invariably, the seller of the boxes will later go on YouTube when they're holding their Grail, or they're holding whatever that they tried to get with the money, or they're celebrating the success of the last wave and announcing the new wave and all this kind of stuff. And they'll say, and everybody was happy with the boxes I sent. And I'm like, nope, definitely not. about 2 people per mystery box wave didn't like what they got, or they're jealous of what someone else got. Either way. So, and that can happen with anyone's box. So even Matt, the boy who had 7, in order to fund his big Christmas bonanza this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was, with all the generosity that he spread around the community, he sold off a ton of his collection in mystery boxes, and he sold a lot. I think it was like 20 boxes, wasn't it? And he had 2 people contact him and tell him how upset they were. Oh, look, he's in chat. How upset they were with the box. And it's like, you can't please everybody.
Nope.
So
that was my point from before. Yeah. That was my point from before.
And I really don't think that it's anyone doing, like, nobody, he didn't set out to do 2 out of 20 boxes crappy. So he could make money off those 2 people. I mean, there's no doubt.
Yeah, and I agree with what the Snake is saying. He's saying that's why raffles are better. I've actually participated in a couple raffles before, because it'll be like 100 spots at $5 each to win a $500 book. I'm not getting anything for the $5 unless I win the big book, and it's a raffle. It's sort of like a drawing. I'm cool with that. It's sort of like you're only getting one book. Only one person's going to win it. Buy an entry and buy a ticket, and you might win it. I've done a couple of those. I don't generally do them very often. I think I've done 2 or 3 ever. I feel like those are sort of more on the up and up than some of these mystery boxes. I feel like a raffle is at least upfront about it. Like, most of you are going to get nothing, and one person's going to get the grand prize. And just do away with sending out all of the crap trying to convince people it's worth what they paid. You know what I mean? Sort of get rid of the expectations.
I agree.
Yeah.
But, it's very difficult when you're in the position and we're kind of buying all from friends in a way. I agree with you, DS, when it comes to the corporate boxes. If you don't like that box, I suggest you give it a bad score and you tell everybody, run from this place and don't buy these again. That's one thing, because that is, like you said, they're doing it specifically to profit. But if someone's just trying to move books out of their collection and give them to the community at a reasonable price, and they're dangling a couple of keys out there because there's something else they want to earn, that's okay. I don't consider that some kind of scam. But when people are unhappy with the books they got, you got to kind of man up at it too and say, okay, I recognize that you weren't happy. I knew not everybody was going to be happy, but I hope you enjoyed the experience anyway, and just leave it alone.
Yeah, I think it works out better, especially for these community boxes, the smaller ones that we do in the community, and I've seen some people doing this, and it's becoming more of a trend, which I like. Show off what's going to be in all the boxes and be like, here's what I'm going to put in the boxes. You don't know what of these you're going to get, but spread it all out and be like, all of this stuff's going to be put in separate boxes, and this is the stuff you're going to get. And then you get an idea of what you're going to get. It's not as much of a mystery, but I feel like you have more of an idea of what kind of value or what type of books you're going to get. I don't have as much problem with that. But I mean, I feel like in the community, some of these mystery boxes are not really mystery boxes. They're sort of like secret boxes of value, of cool stuff that we're moving around the community. We're just keeping the books here in the community, and we're just trying to generate some funds from some of our collection to buy new stuff.
Yeah, I think so. And I think what Boy Who Had 7, Matt's saying, is very true too. The more details you can give, the better you're going to be, because the only person who at that point you have lost as a potential customer is the person who is going to be disappointed anyway. So it works out. Let those people leave. If you show a bunch of books and they say, no, I didn't like the books he showed, so I'm not going to buy a box, great, because that's probably the person that was going to complain anyway.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think, guys? We beat up media mail. We beat up mystery boxes. Anything else you guys want to beat on tonight?
I think we've punched and beat and just knocked down enough for tonight. I think at this point we can let it go, and hopefully they'll be back next week to see what else other punching bag we can come up with.
Absolutely. Well, I'm trying to get Gretzky on the show.
That'd be great.
And we're going to do a, the topic I think is going to be cartoons and comics. And we've got a couple of, obviously, some that inspired in both directions. So that's going to be fun. And of course, he's a big Archie lover, so he'll have plenty of things to share on that. So yeah, Jackson Roykirk treasuries and digests. So if any of you have any great ideas, Boy Who Had Seven wants to come back on. I tell you what, Boy Who Had Seven, if you want to come on the show next week, send $20 in the mail, and we'll write your name on the back of it, so I know it's you, and we'll
send a Jefferson with your name on it.
Absolutely. No, I'd be happy to have the Boy Who Had Seven back on. Anyone, Gray Man's been on. Anyone who has been on before and wants to be on again, you're always welcome on. Just hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, whatever. No, I'm not on Twitter. You can hit me there, but I won't feel it. But you guys go ahead and let me know if you want to come on the show. I'm welcome to have you. I try and have a guest every other week, and then sometimes people back out or it doesn't work out. So bribe your way on. There you go. Bribe your way on, Biggie. So anyway, that's our show for tonight, guys. I hope we shed a little bit of light. I tried to be as on the fence as possible with a lot of it, and showing both sides, the seller side on Media Mail and the buyer side, and then also the mystery box creator and seller on one side and the buyer on the other side. And I think through it all, we've agreed the more details you give, the more clear you are, the more transparent you are on both sides, the better. If people know what to expect, they're generally not going to be disappointed. So that's a good thing to remember whenever buying and selling, and especially in this YouTube community as we buy and sell amongst each other, because you got to see these people tomorrow. I tell you, there's something that I learned moving into a small town. When I was living in New York City, it was a million strangers passed by my door every day, and none of them ever stopped to say hi, and I didn't know any of them. And maybe after 10 years, you notice that some lady with the same hat you're always sitting across from on the train. That was about it. If you bring your friends with you, you bring your circle of people with you, but you don't interact that much with all the other random type people around you. And you're free to get into arguments like, why are people so rude in New York? Because they know they're not going to see that person tomorrow. So they don't care what they say to them today. Okay. But when I moved down into Kentucky, in this small little tiny spot on the map, I don't even think it's a spot. I think it's just like a tape pole in the middle of the country. And and when I moved down here, I realized that the person that I fussed at for, mishandling my milk at the grocery store one day was a person that I had to park next to pump my gas. And then the next day I was standing behind him in line at the post office. And then the next day I had to service them in some way. I had to help them with something. So it's a very small community, and it teaches you patience and kindness, because you don't want to live with the repercussions of being a nasty bastard to everyone you see. So I think that the YouTube community is a lot like that. Remember, you got to see these people tomorrow all over YouTube in our little community. So spread a little kindness and love, and don't be a nasty bastard. What do you say, DS?
Humbug.
Oh, man.
There's benefits. Like I'm sort of with Larry David on the Larry David side of this. Like, if you rub people the wrong way and they don't like you, it just makes your day easier because less people bother you. That's sort of how I feel about it.
Jeez.
You know what I mean? Sometimes it's nice to go out and people don't want to talk to you, people don't want to say hi to you, and it's like whatever. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, you're right. I generally don't care to interact with people very much, except for a very small, very, very small group of people. I don't have a lot of friends. I don't interact. I don't mingle. I don't really socialize. Really, it's the YouTube community is, for the most part, people I interact with, for the most part, and people that I work with in my real job. But other than that, yeah, I don't really do too much socializing or interacting. So, for most people, I could take them or leave them. That's sort of how I feel about it. So nobody ever accuses me in nice comments. You know what I mean?
Roger, yes. Help me tip the scale before we sign off, please.
Yeah, I mean, this is the only thing I can say, guys, is that, Bub, and even to you, whether it's 1 million people or one, you should be who you are, and that is you should be respectful. You should have deference. You should realize that that other person has issues and has a family and has troubles just like you do. Okay. And if we come to that kind of understanding and we realize that we're all in the same sinking ship, if we bail together, we're fine. If we start to fight each other, we're all sunk. So be the best that you can to everybody, and that way you'll never have a regret.
I like it. All right, guys, we're going to sign off. Thank you all for joining us. Thanks for sticking with us through this. And we'll catch you next week on BUB'S Comments, maybe with a guest. All these people clamoring to, I know Caroline.
Knocking down our door.
She was complaining that I had only had her on once. I didn't know. And I'm telling you, everybody, I call these people the next day. You know, in that it's not a wham bam, thank you, ma'am. I sent them a little thank you text for being on. You know, appreciate you. You're welcome back anytime. And then I guess they're all sitting, still waiting by the phone. I don't know what to do with them. So if you guys want back on and you've already been on once, hit me up and ask if you can come on, and I'll schedule you in. So there's been a lot of people over the last year and a half, almost 2 years that have been on the show. So it's
incredible guests on here. Really.
Yeah, we've had some great people come through here. So always pleasure to have them back again. And if you've never been on the show and you'd like to be on the show, let me know, or let Roger know. Sometimes he'll tell me, hey, somebody wants to be on, or DS has had people come on too. So let any one of us know and we'll work it out. All right, guys. Well, we love y'all. DS, he's okay with some of you. And DS, you got anything going real quick? DS, you got anything going on your channel?
Not on my channel, but in about an hour from now tonight at 9:30 Eastern, I'm going to be on JP Collects Budget Collecting, his channel, with a couple other people, and I can't remember exactly who, but we're going to be talking about speculation and investing, and it should be a cool chat. So check that out on JP's channel in about an hour.
Okay, that sounds good. What about you, Roger?
Yeah, tomorrow I got a special video on War Machine that Biggie wanted me to do. So, of course, I had to help out my friend over there from Ohio, and so it's like a 15-minute video, Bub. So even you can probably watch it at double speed and get through it. And of course, the roundup on Thursday and support videos on Saturday.
All right, that's it. I love the roundup and support videos. And there's, by request, a book that I picked up this week. People were excited about. I was super excited about.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Bill, that's Flip City all day long. That book, from what you were showing the prices.
Did you see that? That was crazy.
Dude, I would have that out on eBay already. It'd be gone. I couldn't flip that book quick enough if that's the price it's going for. I'm serious. That's crazy.
That's what my wife pretty much said to me last night. She was like, so you're selling it, right? I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'll never own another copy of it because they're like impossible to find.
Yeah,
so
another copy.
Yeah, that's cool.
Not for as cheap as I gave for this one. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe so, but probably not. My channel, I'm probably have something. I don't even know if I'll do an unboxing for the Ninja Turtles since we did it tonight, but probably not have much until the end of the week, and then I'll be off to Toledo, Ohio to go play with Silver Age Dave on a play date. So we're looking forward to that.
Woohoo.
And I might do a little live streaming on the way up there, and then I think we were going to do a show Friday night together from his little comic cave, if scheduling works out. And then I'll be going to the con on Saturday and Sunday and having a big time. So that's what I got going on mine. Super excited week. This week of work could not go by fast enough for my taste. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much, and we will see you soon. And remember to read a comic. And wait, Diaz, say your sign off. Hurry, man! It's so slow.
Yeah, everybody, do your homework. We'll see you next week.
All right, thank you. And Roger.
Everybody be blessed and be back next week. I can't get clear on this no matter what I do.
I know. And I say, everybody, read a comic and don't apologize.